The Lantern in the Quiet Valley. Close your eyes, dear listener. Let the day's weight slip from your shoulders like snow from a pine branch. Breathe in the cool night air, and out. Feel your body soften into the bed, heavy and safe. Now, come with me to a place where time lingers like mist over a quiet valley. Deep in the folds of ancient mountains, where the world's noise could not reach, lay a hidden valley. Tall pines stood sentinel, their needles whispering secrets to the wind. A narrow stream wound through the center, its water clear and cold, singing a low, constant lullaby. At the valley's heart stood a small cabin of weathered cedar and stone, its roof sloped gently, covered in moss that caught the moonlight like silver dust. A single lantern hung by the door, its flame steady and golden, pushing back the darkness just enough to say, "You are welcome here." Alara had lived in this cabin for nearly 2 decades. She was no longer young, her hair silvered like frost on a windowpane, her hands marked by the gentle lines of a life well touched, but her eyes still held the soft light of someone who had learned to forgive time itself. Long ago, Alara had been part of the clamor beyond the mountains. She had been a teacher in a bustling city school, her days filled with children's laughter and her nights with lesson plans and endless cups of coffee. She had loved her work fiercely, but love can become a cage when it demands everything. She married a kind man who worked long hours in an office tower. They dreamed of a family, of quiet evenings, but life moved faster than their dreams. Years passed in a blur of deadlines, arguments over small things, and silences that grew larger than words. One winter, her husband left, not in anger, but in exhaustion. He said he needed space to remember who he was. She never saw him again. The loss carved something hollow inside her. She tried to fill it with more work, more plans, more noise. But the hollow only deepened. One spring evening, walking home through rain-slick streets, she stopped under a street lamp and realized she could no longer hear her own heartbeat over the city's roar. That night she packed a single bag, left her keys on the table, and walked away. She walked until the buildings thinned, until the roads turned to paths, until she found the valley that seemed to have been carved just for her. A place that asked nothing and gave everything in return. Here, she learned to light the lantern. Not for rescue, but for remembrance. It was her way of saying to the world she had left, "I forgive you." And to herself, "I forgive me." One bitter winter night, when the wind carried the scent of pine and distant snow, a traveler named Rowan appeared at the valley's edge. He was tall and weary, his coat patched in places, his boots worn thin from roads that led nowhere satisfying. His eyes carried the same hollow Alara once knew, shadows of too many late nights, too many promises made to himself and broken, too many years spent chasing a version of success that always stayed one step ahead. Rowan had been an architect in the city. He designed towers that touched the clouds, homes that looked perfect on paper. But the buildings he made never felt like home to him. He married briefly, divorced quietly, buried himself in blueprints until even sleep became a task to complete. One day he looked at his reflection in a glass office wall and saw a stranger. He walked out of the building, left his keys and his phone, and started walking. He walked for days, through rain and cold, until he saw the lantern's glow, a single point of warmth in the endless white. Alara heard his footsteps in the snow long before she saw him. She opened the door, the firelight spilling out like an invitation. "Come in," she said, her voice as soft as falling snow. "The night is unkind tonight." Rowan hesitated, then stepped inside. The cabin smelled of cedar, dried lavender, and wood smoke. A kettle hummed on the stove. Alara gestured to the armchair by the hearth. Rowan sat, the warmth seeping into him like a long-forgotten memory. They did not speak at first. The fire crackled softly. Outside, the wind sighed against the windows. Alara poured tea, chamomile and mint, sweetened with a touch of honey. Rowan wrapped his hands around the cup, feeling the heat travel up his arms. After a time, he spoke. "I don't know what I'm looking for," he said quietly. "I just couldn't stay still anymore." Alara nodded. Stillness is hard when the mind is running. But here, the valley teaches patience. It waits for you to catch up. She told him a little of her own story, not the polished version, but the honest one, the marriage that faded, the city that swallowed her, the day she chose to walk away. "I thought leaving would fix everything," she said. "It didn't. But it gave me space to forgive myself for not being enough, for anyone, even me." Rowan listened. The words settled into him like snow on branches, quiet, covering, gentle. That night, as the fire burned low, Rowan slept in the alcove bed, wrapped in quilts that smelled of pine and peace. And in his sleep, he dreamed. In the dream, he was back in the city, standing on the roof of one of his tallest buildings. The wind was cold, the lights below endless and indifferent. But instead of fear, he felt only sadness, for the man he had been, for the dreams he had chased that were never his own. Then, from the horizon, a small light appeared, not bright, not flashy, but steady. It grew closer until he saw it was a lantern floating gently toward him. When it reached him, he saw his own reflection in the glass, not the exhausted architect, but a younger version of himself, smiling softly. The lantern spoke in Alara's voice, "You don't have to climb higher to be enough. You were always enough to rest." Rowan reached out, and the lantern settled in his hands. Its warmth spread through him, thawing places he had long forgotten. In the dream, he stepped off the roof, not falling, but floating down through the lights, through the noise, until he landed softly in snow, in a valley he knew without knowing. The lantern glowed brighter now, illuminating a path lined with pines. At the end stood the cabin, door open, firelight welcoming. He woke slowly, the dream lingering like mist. The room was pale with morning light. Elara was already up, kneading dough for bread. The scent filled the cabin, warm, comforting. They ate together, fresh bread, butter, coffee dark and rich. Rowan felt different. Not cured, not transformed in a single night, but quieter. The hollow inside him was still there, but now it had light in it. Before he left, he stood at the door, looking back. "I think I understand now," he said. "It wasn't about finding more. It was about forgiving what I couldn't be, and allowing myself to be what I am." Elara smiled, her eyes soft. "The lantern will be lit again tonight. And every night after. For you, or for anyone who needs it." Rowan walked into the snow-covered valley. The path was clear now, the mountains standing guard. He carried the lantern's warmth inside him, not as a burden, but as a promise. To rest. To forgive. To let kindness guide him forward, one quiet step at a time. And back in the cabin, Elara trimmed the wick, filled the oil, and waited for evening. Because the light was never just for others. It was for her, too, a reminder that even in the deepest valley, forgiveness can glow steady and true. Gentle reflection, as you drift here in the quiet, remember this: the paths we take are not always the ones we planned. But every step, every wrong turn, every moment of doubt, they all lead to this moment, where you can choose to forgive yourself. Light your own small lantern tonight. Let it glow for the person you were, and the person you are becoming. You are safe. You are enough. Sweet dreams.